Alright guys, we have a peak aesthetic tier list here for all the muscle groups. Let me start out by saying we can all improve these even if you have bad genetics, you think you have bad genetics. You can always outwork a lot of this stuff and compensate by building some more muscle. Like even people with like terrible chest genetics or really bad bicep genetics, they can really make up for it by just putting in the work. So we have everything from peak aesthetic to look sick to people notice, who really cares, and then you got calves, bro. So we're gonna start with quads. So I think big quads are pretty cool. I mean, as far as legs go, I think quads probably are what people are going to notice the most. So as far as lower body, I would say people notice is about as good as it gets. So we have a big juicy chest. See, I think this is like a super manly thing, and I'm not going to put it in peak aesthetic, but when you see somebody with a big chest, it's probably not genetic, because even if you were like genetically blessed with like big arms, like everyday life you kind of train arms, a little bit, just everyday things. You can get some pretty big arms being a freaking brick mason, you know what I'm saying? But you're not going to get big chest being a brick mason. So when you see somebody with a chest, you kind of know they worked for it. Alright, we have big glutes. See, this is, as far as women go though, they act like they care a lot about some big juicy glutes, so we're going to put them right behind quads on people notice. Alright, we got the Ronnie Coleman here with the huge shoulders. Now I think shoulders are probably going to go up into peak aesthetic, because if you have huge shoulders, it can make up for a lot of things like having a blockier waist. It can really help emphasize your V taper if you have big shoulders. It can really make up for a lot. So I think that's the first thing that's going up into peak aesthetic. Alright, we got big biceps. Now, bro, everybody loves big biceps, right? Like, it's the first thing you see when somebody's wearing a t-shirt, to be honest. If they got huge biceps, you're going to notice. So we're going to put that in look sick right behind chest, because honestly, you see somebody with like 16-inch arms and they're lean and they've got veins in their freaking biceps, they're probably hitting the curls pretty hard. And we have back here. See, I could have done like lats and the lower back, but I just kind of put back together because I think back's honestly pretty important. Like, if you have a big back, you look big in a t-shirt. It helps emphasize the V taper. Everybody's going for the V taper right now. That's what you want. You want the wide shoulders and the slim waist, and the back can really help when you build up the lats, emphasize the V taper. So I think it's going into look sick too. So we got wide clavicles, or like just genetically wide shoulders, and I think this is peak. Like, I don't think it gets any more lucky than this in the genetic lottery. Like, if you have really wide shoulders, even if you have a blocky waist, you're still going to look pretty damn good. But if you have the wide shoulders and the thin waist, like a lot of people do that are built like this, like kind of like that ectomorph build, they're going to look crazy if they put on muscle, man. They're going to look like a freaking Dorito, you know what I'm saying? So I think this is definitely peak aesthetic. And we got calves, bro. Nothing really needs to be said. I mean, you got dad calves out there, people that are 300 pounds walking around. They're going to have huge calves just because they're walking around with 300 pounds. So it's kind of really hard to know like who earned their calves, you know what I mean? Alright, and you have just really, really nice symmetrical abs. Like, I don't think this is a game buster. I think this is going into people's notice, but I don't think it looks sick. I mean, I think if you even have a 4-pack, I mean, we saw Arnold win Mr. Olympia with a freaking 4-pack, man. You can really have a great physique without having super symmetrical nice abs, but you can definitely work them up, and you can really only do with what you have, you know, so it is what it is when it kind of comes to abs. People are going to notice, but it's not the biggest deal. Alright, we got forearms. I mean, having big forearms is pretty cool. I think people notice big forearms. I think they notice big forearms before they notice your big quads. Like, I think forearms are kind of underrated. I think if you have a good set of forearms, it really emphasizes the biceps. And if you have like really slim wrists and you have like big forearms, you kind of look crazy. So I think big forearms are actually pretty cool. You know, this is all personal opinion. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. This is just my take on it. Alright, and you got the super small waist guy. I mean, just, it goes right up here behind wide clavicle, wide shoulder guy. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are kind of the same people. If you're born like that, you're kind of born like that. Like, that V-taper, not everybody's going to have a 28-inch waist. Like, it's just, you're not going to have a 28-inch waist if you weren't born to have a 28-inch waist, you know. It is what it is, but it's definitely peak aesthetic. When you see a frame like this, I mean, this dude looks like a straight Dorito chip. You know what I'm saying? It looks awesome. The big back definitely helps. That's why I think big back definitely belongs up here. Alright, we have big hamstrings. Hamstrings, who really cares, right? I mean, who really cares about hamstrings? There's really not much to say about hamstrings, man. They look good if they're really built, but if you're wearing sweats like a lot of the bros, nobody's really going to see your hamstrings, and they're probably going to look at your quads before they look at your hamstrings anyway. And we got huge triceps here. See, I think this, I don't think it belongs up here with big biceps. You know, contrary to popular belief, the tricep is 2/3 of the arm per se, but I don't think it outweighs the biceps, man. I think like when you have huge biceps, you can get away with not having huge triceps, but if you have huge triceps and no biceps, it's kind of strange, you know? So we're going to put triceps and look sick. And last but not least, we have just like thin wrist or thick wrist or thick bones. As far as aesthetics go, I mean, who really cares, to be honest? If you have really thin bones, but you have 10, 15, 25 pounds of muscle, you're still going to look awesome. But genetically, they say if you have thicker bones, you're probably going to put on a little bit more muscle in the long run, but that's what they'll tell you. But this is my tier list here, just personal opinion. You can improve all these. Yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Keep chasing them gains. Take care. Peace out.